we believe that's fair too. It's not enough time. So today we've extended time, and it's for the presenters, it's absolutely fine if you've practiced to end in 5 minutes. That is totally fine. But in case you need some extra time, you have it now. And we'll have extra time for discussions. So I highly encourage all of you to participate in our post-presentation discussion. After that, we'll have a quick discussion on logistics. That's always, you always get a lot of questions on that and what happens once the course ends. So program support will be here to help us with that. And that's about it. So we have a good number of participants, and it's 11:04. So let's start. So first of all, congratulations on completing this course. This is, I've taken this course before, and I know that this is challenging. And especially when you have full-time jobs and families, and you're working with new teams, which are and you're all located in different parts of the globe. It's so hats off to you guys, and you should be very proud. And I don't usually do this, but you may see on the wall in the background that I had a brainstorming session yesterday, so I still have my all my brainstorming results stuck on the wall. So we use the exact same things that we discuss in this course. So you're in good hands. And this is, and just before we start for today's presentation, um, you were all expected to perform a real win worth it analysis on an opportunity, and then make a recommendation based on your findings on whether you think that this opportunity should be pursued further or whether you need to stop and reevaluate. And and so your two panelists today are Jenny and myself. Jenny, would you like to give us a quick intro and tell us about yourself?
Have been with me for my lectures, but Shakti is right. I guess I haven't talked much about myself in the past. So my background is in product design through mechanical engineering and art and design. I'm a Stanford person and a Silicon Valley person originally. I have done some odd things using design thinking and creative problem solving. I've actually wound up doing a lot of work after a natural disaster that related to this. And strangely enough, in all strange fields, in oceanography. But my more appropriate background for this course is I've done a bit of work within the medical field and in the past with some of the design consultancies. It's been a pleasure lecturing to you folks now and then. And it's been a pleasure watching you as you've moved through this course. I hope you have come away feeling that it changed your way of thinking as much as I think design thinking has changed Shakti and my approaches to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great to be here with you folks.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. It's great to have you here. Okay, so I think we're ready for our first presenters. Program support. Can we have our first team? Oh, let me show you. So this is the presenting order for today. We have team number 10, team followed by team number 22, and finally we have team number 15. Great. So whenever you're ready. So we have team 10 coming up first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jack, you ready? I can share my
Yes,
screen.
yes. Just share your slides and it will replace. Let me stop share.
Okay.
And yeah, great.
Okay. All right. So welcome today from Chicago. My name is Shelley, and I'm representing Team 10. And we also have Carrie along with us, and she's going to be covering the Q&A in case you have questions while I'm going through the slides. So as you can see, we have quite a few different areas of expertise and experience. We are living in 3 different countries, but we do have a very common concern, and we feel that most of our audience is going to actually share in that concern. So whose house looked like this the day after Amazon Prime Day? Probably quite a few of us are guilty of this. And what we found is that the delivery service itself, so whether it's food or groceries or packages, the delivery service itself is really creating a ton of trash. In fact, it's creating 24.1 million tons of cardboard in the trash each year. So we feel that this was a great opportunity to try and come up with a solution for it. Now, of course, we would need to narrow this down. We can't solve the problems of all the trash from delivery services all over the world. So, on the recommendation of trying to narrow this focus, we decided to look just at Amazon. Now, Amazon is one of the largest delivery services in the United States. The largest in the United States. They deliver 608 million packages per year, which is over 1.5 million packages per day. So you got to think about that for a second. Over 1.5 million packages per day. That is a lot of packages, and could lead to a large industry here. So we went out and we interviewed quite a few people. Obviously, we interviewed the consumers, and we tried to cover different ages. We tried to cover different geographic locations. So maybe rural versus living in a very urban environment, very compact cities, and just tried to get a variety so that we could get different perspectives. Now, we were really fortunate because we reached out to Amazon, and we were able to talk with a Amazon warehouse manager. We were also able to talk with a packaging manager from a smaller store. And then purely by accident, we interviewed a United States Postal Service manager who a few years ago was asked to be on a committee by the US government when delivery services were just going through the roof because of online purchases, that they formed this committee to try and figure out ways to address this boom in the delivery services. So we feel like we really had a nice perspective, or variety of perspectives coming at this opportunity. We also were trying to keep in mind, who does this actually affect, right? Obviously the buyers, obviously the sellers, the employees of Amazon, the delivery services, and the manufacturers. But also at the bottom of our list here is government officials and policymakers, because think about the impact that this delivery service is having all the way down to even like our roads, right? So if you order 5 items in one shopping session from Amazon, and they come in 5 different packages, that increases your traffic on your road. You've got 5 different trucks coming down your road, possibly in the same day. And then think about your neighbors too, right? Instead of it all being delivered to at one time to the neighborhood or one time per house. So government officials really need to be thinking about recycling, thinking about things of the conditions of the roads, in addition to all the environmental impact of these deliveries. Now, as a result of this, we realized that consumers are actually very aware of their lifestyle and their footprint on the environment, and they are getting to the point where they are expecting options for recycling or reusing, or just some sort of choice in how there's an impact in the environment, right? So it's not going to be a hard sell should Amazon take this on and say, yes, we want to offer this. The consumers are ready. They're just waiting for this option, right? Also, this can be a great selling point for Amazon sellers, right? So you're getting ready to purchase something, and say there are 3 sellers that have almost the exact same item, right? And they're priced almost exactly the same. But if one seller actually has an eco-friendly option for your packaging, then most likely 55% is what we're guessing would actually select that person over the other 2 sellers. So now this becomes something that actually increases revenue for those Amazon sellers, right? And there's statistics that show that people are willing to actually pay a higher price for eco-friendly packaging, right? So we feel like this wouldn't even increase the cost to Amazon. They don't have to take on this responsibility, right? So what is our concept, right? Our concept is what we call the Go Green Initiative. It becomes part of the purchasing process when you go on Amazon, right? We're all very accustomed to be able to shop for our item, and then we figure out, how it's going to be shipped, and on and on. So I'm going to give you an example. Here's an example of the screen, a little mock-up of how it would work, right? And then here's sort of the process. So as you're normally shopping, you do the same thing as usual, right? And you select an item. Now, when you normally select an item, Amazon says, hey, you know what? If you like that item, a lot of other people who bought that same item, they like this item too. So they give you these suggestions, right? So if I'm going to purchase a keyboard, maybe I want to purchase the mouse that goes with it, right? So in that same fashion, when you select the Go Green Initiative, then it comes up with options for your packaging, right? So the next step is, hey, you're getting this keyboard and this mouse. Why not have them shipped together? Okay, great. Yeah, I'd like to do that. Now, the next step is, what about what type of packaging would you like, right? And then it gives you some options. You want biodegradable packaging? Do you want a reusable box? Maybe it's something that you actually keep it and you use it for storage in your home, right? Maybe you need some storage boxes anyway. So let's get one that would be appropriate for you to keep. I'll pay a tiny bit more, and now I don't have to figure out what to do with it when I'm done. So we go back to the finances, right? Is it worth it? And we say it doesn't cost Amazon a cent. But, of course, nothing's free. So yes, it may cost them a few cents, right? They need to figure out how it's going to change their process, right? When someone orders something now, then, it goes to fulfillment center. They have to get that box. They have to figure out what size box. They need to figure out what's going to go inside of it as the packing materials, and, and the delivery address, all that sort of thing. They have to do that now anyway. So this would just add maybe some retraining to the AI, or maybe to the fulfillment center employees. So you make a few adjustments so that there is this other option, right? But it doesn't really affect a lot of the other income stream for Amazon. In fact, we think if it's done right, it could either reduce costs or possibly even eliminate the cost to Amazon, because the seller can take on part of that cost, or the consumer is willing to pay for it based on our findings in the interviews. So really, in the end, it could actually save money to Amazon. So go or no go? We say go. And we have a quote here, which just came out about a week before our finals were due. So it was perfect timing. And this is a quote from the director of customer packaging at Amazon. They actually have an 85-person team right now that is working on what to do with the waste, what happens to the packaging. And her goal is to have zero packaging over the next few years. So we agree with that. And we feel like we have come up with a way that would help them sort of implement this, right? But of course, our slide says, yes, but. There's always the other shoe has to drop, right? And the reason for this is because, I'm going to skip ahead here. So we feel like the Go Green Initiative is really more of a way to implement, or like almost to the end of the line of the design thinking process, right? It's a way to implement some of our other solutions that we came up with. So if you think about explore, create, and implement, you can see on this little chart here that we're really towards the end there. But our next steps is actually to go back, and we need to answer some questions. The number one thing is, what Go Green packages are actually going to be the best, right? We say here are your options, but we really need to investigate those. And when we're doing that, we really need to be thinking about what is the next use of whatever is designed, right? So instead of designing a package option and then later saying, okay, well, we used it, now what do we do with it? We should be thinking about what that next step is before we even create it, right? And then obviously there's a list of questions over here on the left that still need to be answered. How will it be recycled or reused? Where will it be collected? How will it be collected? What's it made of? And there's all kinds of other questions in addition to this, but these are some really key questions that need to be answered. And then of course, we want to make sure that we don't actually increase the carbon footprint trying to make these packages, right? So I'm going to go back to this slide. Here were some of the other solutions that we feel the next step would actually be to go back and look at some of those solutions and see which ones are worth exploring. So in our brainstorming session, we came up with a lot of solutions, a lot of ideas, but we tried to narrow it down to 5. And we ended up taking the first one and the last one and combining them. And that's what ultimately became the Go Green initiative. So the other 3, though, that I'll just briefly go through were options that we could go back and look at now. So one, for example, was...
For Shakti's sake, I might have to cut you off because we're heading towards 10 minutes. And
Oh, okay.
Shakti
Sure.
to be trapped at the very end and not be able to close out the session. Actually, how about this?
Yeah.
We can cut back on the time that we give you feedback. Why don't you take 1 more minute to wrap up? Does that make sense, Shakti?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Great.
Absolutely. So, so these are other solutions that we had, and obviously that we're thinking all the way through the process of when it's created, how it's used, how it's collected, and then the next use for it. So, and I can just cut back to our end slide. So we feel like, yes, we want to go forward with this. However, we do need to go back, which is sort of the beauty of design thinking in general, is it's not a linear process. You go forward, 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 and then maybe you have to take a few steps back to try to explore some more and try to create some more, and then you can actually implement. So that's kind of where we're at. We would like to go back and explore our other ideas. Is that good?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jenny, do you have some comments?
I do. I think very interesting exploration. Obviously, in 2 months, there's not all that much that you can go deep into. I did love seeing that you had started thinking about what materials might be appropriate or what the reuses might be. I guess you've got biodegradable as an option. You've got reuse as an option. I can't help thinking that you might want to keep return of the packaging in some way, shape, or form, at least at this early stage, as one of your options. I think the cost of something that someone is going to potentially want to keep is a little bit tricky. I couldn't help thinking, you know, I like that you at least gave us the framework of let's just think about Amazon. Obviously, this is something that could be used many other places, but it gave me a framework to think, okay, so what would I do? I would imagine that I would wind up selecting one of these options in Amazon, and I would expect all of my stuff to be shipped that way unless I changed it. Having it as a constant option that I had to go through and choose each time, I think would encourage me to move away from using it instead of move towards using it. But I'm excited you're thinking about this. I think it is something that would make a great deal of difference for all of us in this world. And congratulations on a very, very nice presentation.
Thank you very much.
No, absolutely. So I had similar thoughts. I thought you had a great start and you guys really got that hook like on the dot, and you started with some a very interesting statistic, which seems obvious once you think of it, but it's not something you think of very often. and you had a very, very thorough treatment of the is it real part, and that made it fairly convincing. And also, like Jenny said, just using Amazon as a framework was a great idea, because that makes the problem specific enough to attack in a short duration. So that was also a great decision.
I see the Amazon box behind you. I see the Amazon box behind you.
Oh yes, yeah, you do, right? Yeah. Yes, so I reused it. That was my option.
Good.
Yeah, so when I was thinking of it, I was wondering, packaging is one part of the carbon footprint of delivery. So I was wondering if this can be extended to more things, and in the future, maybe Amazon could have a competing line of a slightly more expensive but greener supply chain, and people could opt for that. I don't know. Maybe that's so. Since there are other parts of the supply chain, maybe you could attack one part at a time and slowly build something that's completely sustainable. But great job, Shelly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We did actually have to even narrow it down to the packaging itself, because
I
like you
see.
say, with the supply chain, we did explore ideas of having a center similar to the Amazon lockers, a place that you would pick it up. And we were thinking about, the impact of all the delivery drivers, the trucks, and that sort of thing. But yes, in 8 weeks, we figured we have to focus on a box.
Yeah. No, great job.
Thank
Great.
you.
Program support, can we have the next team? Also, I have a question for the presenters. Jenny is going to be helping us with being on track with time. So if you can't see her when you're presenting, please do let us know so that program support can change, so that you should always be able to see Jenny on the top right corner. Usually your computer might be different, but you'll see a thumbnail of her video, and she will be holding up cards, which will help you keep track of time.
And I'm going to cut in there, Shakti, that's a great point. You will only be able to see me, for example, in addition to Shakti. You'll only be able to see multiple of us if you're presenting. I believe all of you, you can verify this for us if you want over in the chat window, but I believe when you folks are in the audience, you can only see one of us at a time. I believe you may additionally have the option up in the upper right corner of changing whether you see only one video up there or whether you see the whole string. So it's in your, the same place that you'd see your own face. You'll have a little icon up there that will also potentially let you do it there.
Okay, great. Do we have team 22? Is that team 22?
Hi Shakti, we have sent Anmol the panelist link. Not sure he's
Okay.
hasn't joined in yet. Give it another minute, please.
Okay, great. Great. So do we have any comments or questions from the audience for Shelly? What did you think of her presentation? Is this because I know there was another team in our group. Actually, they're also presenting today. So team 15 is also working on packaging, and they have a very interesting take on it. So I'm excited to see these two teams, and I'm also very excited to see that this trend of, and it's a trend that's reflecting in this course as well, that we're all getting serious about climate change and our impact on the planet. So, and I guess it's about time.
You know, Shakti was asking if you had any questions over in the chat window. While the lecturers are speaking, go ahead and type the questions in, because at least in theory, if there are other teammates, for example, besides Shelly, they can start a conversation up with you while we're all working on the presentation. It looks like Anmol may be having an issue being promoted to a panelist. Maybe, you know what? Varun, could we go on to team 15 while you folks figure out what Anmol and the promotion issues are?
Yes, I've promoted Neeraj as well. I'm waiting for him to join. It seems that he's not joined in yet. Give it 1 minute, please.
Okay. So once all of this is over, you folks will have access to the final slides of all of the teams back over on Canvas. So we're only doing a couple here, but probably in about 2 or 3 weeks, you'll get an email that will let you go and see the projects that were not selected for this. And that's if you have chosen to let them be shown. As Shakti mentioned a moment ago, you all do have the choice of choosing, selecting not to have your slides shared with the rest of the course if there's particularly something in there that you're hoping to carry forward.
Yeah, I guess that's just the irony that a lot of times we don't get to share some of the best work.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So I think our program support is still trying to solve the technical problems. Do you think we should start logistics? I was wondering if we should start discussion on logistics, but I don't want to cut that short because as soon as the teams start, and then, yeah, so maybe we should give them 1 more minute. Ashok had a question meanwhile. He said, do we have stats for packaging from, Ashok, do you mean the stats that Shelley had discussed here? Okay, yeah, so we'll be sharing the slides that Shelley had shown, and yeah, so we'll be sharing the slides. Plus, you can always, this webinar is also recorded, so you can always look at it again. Also, you should, I guess, if you're interested in the same thing, maybe you could reach out to Shelley, and I'm sure their team would be happy to help you with that. Right, so Akhilesh had a question that packaging is important for selling, and how is that addressed in the Go Green initiative? Well, I think this question is better answered by Shelley, but maybe we're having some technical problems. Yes. Oh, okay, great. So Shelley, if you want to take a minute and address some of the questions the audience has for your group. Ashok had a question, and Akhilesh has a question as well.
Sure. Now I'm back in.
Oh, great. Good to have you back, Shelley.
Yeah, I have no idea how, but I'm back, and
I can see you now.
Yeah, I'm a panelist now. So
great.
So one of the ideas that we were thinking in terms of the packaging from the seller's perspective is that maybe the seller selects a package that maybe even already exists, because we did research that and we did find that there are eco-friendly packages that do exist, and maybe that seller could select something that's appropriate for the type of item that they sell. So, you have to think about the difference between something that's very fragile or maybe something that's very heavy. And so the packaging is sort of customized towards, their products. Also, then in terms of the consumer, we thought that selecting something that is more appropriate to them may be best, because some people have access to recycling. and some people don't. So, so we were kind of thinking that let the seller have an option and let the consumer have an option. Hopefully that makes sense.
Right. And I was reading something recently where recycling is, well, I'm sure you guys already know that recycling took a big hit in 2017 when China stopped taking a lot of recycling materials from the world. And not just that, also psychologically, recycling makes people sometimes consume more, because the idea is that this is getting recycled, so it doesn't really matter if I'm consuming this. And even at MIT, I was working with on a project, and we went to the recycling center, and that day they sorted through 200 bags of recycling trash, and 4 of those bags made it through. All of the others were contaminated, so they did not actually reach the recycling plant. They went to trash. So
exactly. And a lot of recycling, I guess that there's a lot of restrictions that consumers are not actually aware of. For example, plastic bags. If you have a plastic bag in your recycling container, in some areas of the world, they consider none of it recyclable.
Yeah.
Anymore. There's a town in Italy right now, outside of Florence, that is starting an initiative to recycle clothing, because that's another thing that we don't think about is the dyes and things that go into fabric. We think that fabric is just naturally recyclable, and it's actually becoming a huge problem that, again, like, people are just not aware of it. They think, oh, I put it in the recycling bin, I feel good, everything's fine.
That's that is true. I think it's also this problem has so many aspects. It's this behavior change, then and then there's just having policy in place to promote these things. And even after you have all of that, if people are putting things into recycling and we don't have the infrastructure to support that, that's just and that's all. We can't hear you, Jenny.
Oh, I was about to speak. I hadn't spoken yet. I was kind of sitting here like that. So just a heads up, we're having a minor technical problem. We've had 2 teams that have been shut out of being promoted to panelist. We're close to having that resolved. And I think in order to keep us on track for the 1 hour goal,
Right,
instead of the 1.5 hour goal, we might head more towards 5 minutes per presenter than we originally discussed in the beginning here, since we've had a problem with this. Javier is here with us right now. Javier,
great.
what team are you from? Shelley, thank you so much for helping us fill our issue space here.
Absolutely, I'm happy to help.
Okay.
Thanks.
Javier.
I can't hear you, Javier.
Usually in the lower left, you'll find a mute icon, and you will need to click on, there you go, you nailed it.
Hello?
Yeah, we can
Hi.
hear you now.
I'm from team 22.
Okay, great.
But the thing is, we should need Anmol back. He's one of also of our team, and he's like better for presentation.
Okay, so are you in touch with Anmol?
Yeah, he told me that he's been kicked out earlier, and now he can go back.
This is very strange. We haven't really had this problem before.
So Varun has sent Anmol a link, and hopefully Anmol will click on that link in just a moment, and we'll see what happens. Just so you folks know, I was on another Zoom session earlier this morning. We didn't have problems to this extent, but we did have some problems with people being kicked out and brought back in. I'm wondering if there's been a software upgrade on Zoom or something that we're dealing with right now. So bear with us, don't leave. Javier, thank you for the heads up that we need to get them all back on fast too.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. So, Javier, can you start testing your slides? Do you have the slides? If you could get them on and maybe uh, make sure that that's working.
Yeah, how can I do that?
Um,
Sorry, Anmol
Oh.
here said that Zoom thinks that he is banned from the meeting. Out of choice or something.
oh, yeah, that is very strange. I think Zoom maybe has made some updates, and that's
That's my suspicion right now too.
okay.
Can we go first, perhaps with team 15, or they are having troubles also?
Well, they're having the same problem. Hmm.
Okay.
Hi, Jenny, Shakti. I'm so sorry about what's happening right now, but I've resent Anmol the panelist link.
Mhm.
He should be able to join in soon.
Okay.
good.
And Niraj is having the same problem. It looks like he's been kicked out 4 times in a row. If you double check with him too. Thank you so much, Varun. We know this isn't you. We know we're stuck with a software issue right now. So thank you for all your help trying to make it work.
Javier, is there a possibility that you can present on behalf of the team right now?
Yeah, the thing is that, to tell you the truth, there's a part of the presentation that I'm quite like not so sure about.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I can
Do you want to
start
give us a quick intro, or maybe just do the parts that you're comfortable with, and then we can have Anmol join in, and we can obviously give you some extra time for this. And Jenny, do you think it's okay if we run about 5 or 10 minutes into over 1 hour?
I am supportive of anything
Right.
you want to do, Shakti,
Okay.
when you're up against a challenge like this.
Right?
A heads up, Niraj looks like he is successfully in. Javier, Niraj is not on your team, though. He's on the other team, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay. So we've got 1 success, and we're waiting to see if Anmol gets in successfully now that Niraj is coming in well, too.
Okay, great. But I can't see Neeraj on our side, but absolutely, if Neeraj can start. Okay, I guess Javier, if you could just start. I don't know. I don't think we can reach
I don't
Neeraj.
know if you're how can I share the slides with you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
To share the presentation, the slides. I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
So once you have this, yeah, I'm sorry to put you in a spot. Just open the presentation and in PowerPoint, and go to the green share button on Zoom. Click on share, and it will give you an option to share any of the windows that you have open on your laptop or your computer, and select the icon which shows your slides.
You have a green button Zoom?
Um,
I'm not seeing it.
okay, do you see a share button?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
But the share is no Dropbox, not Zoom.
Something happened.
No, I'm not seeing the Zoom, the option to share it on Zoom.
Oh, I see.
I have a link of the presentation, but
do you have a Mac or a Windows?
Windows.
Windows, right? Okay.
Hi, Jenny, Shakti. I'm going to give Neeraj audio rights, and as discussed before, I'm going to share his slides on my behalf, on the team's behalf. I'm sorry.
Javier,
Okay.
you're off the hook for now. We'll move on, and we'll have Niraj do his first.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
guys.
Yeah, no, sorry to put you on the spot.
No problem.
Thank you for trying.
Uh, hmm.
Hi, Neeraj, can you hear me?
Neeraj, you're on mute right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Can you hear me?
Hi, Neeraj.
Yes. Yes, that's great.
I was just kicked out a minute back, so I rejoined in. So I don't know.
We're so sorry
So
about
good to have you back.
We're looking into this right now. We'll update you as well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with your slides. You
I
can-
have it, Varun. Even I have it. If you can, I can share my screen as I have the deck with me.
Actually, right now the issue is that you will not be able to share your screen.
Okay,
I'm so sorry about that.
not a problem. You can proceed.
Yes. It seems Anmol. All right. It seems the issue is fixed.
Oh wow, we're back on track.
Perfect.
Great.
So who wants to go now? Is it Anmol or we?
Actually, if it's all right, Anmol, you can go ahead and begin your presentation.
Sounds good.
Anmol, can you hear us? We can't hear you. I think you're on mute. Or
Hi.
Hi, Anmol. Can you hear us? Hi, Anmol. Hi, everyone. We are really sorry about this. We'll get this looked at and make sure that this does not happen in the future again. In the meantime, Anmol, if you can hear us, please give us a quick shout out and let us know that you're online.
okay, that's fine. Let's just start with
Hey, hi everyone.
Hey, Anmol.
hi. Hi Anmol.
For
Good to
some
have you
reason,
back.
I thought I was banned from being a panelist, and
Oh no, what did you do?
check laptops.
Great. Okay, good to have you back. And thank you, program support, for fighting this problem on air. Great. So Anmol, before let's not waste any time, and please start.
Just give me a second. I had to switch laptops, so I'm just setting it up. It'll take me
Okay.
10 seconds.
Fine, fine. So yeah, take your time. Is there? Great. So
Cut off. I'm Shakti. I'm going to let you use your best judgment on when you want to cut off. I'll show you guys the numbers as we go forward, though.
okay.
Your
okay.
call.
Great. Thank you.
Javier, do you want to present? I might be able to talk while you walk through the slides.
Okay. Can you share the presentation, because I'm not finding the sharing button.
Varun may be able to help us here, though. Varun, can you pull up their slides?
Sure, no problem. Give me one moment.
Thank you, Varun.
This is like flying in an airplane and trying to fix it while we're in the air.
I don't know which of us is climbing out on the wing right now.
I think it was definitely Javier 5 minutes ago, but I'm glad he's inside now.
Busted. Yeah.
I should be able to, I think.
Okay, great.
Let's give it a go. Let's see if this works. Brilliant.
Trust.
Awesome. I think we are
Yes.
systems good. All right. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining in. My name is Anmol Shantaram, and I'm representing Team 22. We have Javier Hermida too from my team out here. We couldn't have both Natalia and Jason join us. They had work commitments that they couldn't defer. What we'll be talking to you today is our solution, our take called Be Safe, that's trying to make women safe while they walk in cities at night. So as a team, we decided that we target a problem that impacts 1 billion people. We looked at the potential opportunities that we had, and we looked at the safety of women while they walk alone at night as a viable, potential, interesting problem to tackle. When we did our research, we understood that for a lot of us, we have an inherent fear of the dark. And for a lot of us who are women, that fear doesn't disappear when you grow up. So all that angst, all that anxiety, all that fear, all that threat, and the perception of threat that we carry from our childhood continues to persist for women, especially at night, and if they're alone walking in the streets. When we looked at the available research, we found that this is quite endemic. This is not unique to a culture or a country or a city. It's quite global. The problem is quite global. At least 33% of women have experienced real violence or real abuse on the streets, and about 80% of women have the feeling or the insecurity and the threat of violence is something that they experience day in and day out. So we thought that the research suggested that this was a big enough problem for us to tackle. What we did next is we ran 22 interviews across 5 continents. We were lucky that we had a team that spanned 5 continents, which allowed us to have interviews across 5 continents. So we ran 22 interviews, and there was a common theme that emerged from all of these interviews, which is when women walk at night, if they're alone, they always have this sense that something bad is going to happen. I'll give you some insights about what we derived from these interviews. All of these interviews revealed 4 major themes that came up as common needs and common challenges that women face. The first one is when they have an issue, when they have a safety issue or the perception of a safety issue, it escalates really fast. The time it takes for them to feel unsafe and the time when they need to react is quite rapid. The most common response that women had to feeling threatened is to take their phone out and put it up to their ear and pretend as if they were talking to someone, or try and call up someone real, at least to try and deter the person threatening them or the person that they think will threaten them from trying to escalate it into an actual safety issue. A lot of time, what that means is that they start worrying about batteries. So for instance, I'll give you an example. One of the women that we spoke to told us about this story where every time she's out talking to her friends, which is usually towards the end of the day, she starts worrying about her phone battery levels, because once the phone battery starts going down, the single tool that they have at their disposal to manage threats and manage safety issues goes away. Psychological safety was really big for them because they feel that not being able to call on help immediately is something that they care about, and they feel disadvantaged if they can't do that. And being able to help themselves or be self-sufficient was something else that they wanted to have. They couldn't really count on strangers to come to their aid. Everyone said that we can't really count on strangers coming to their aid if they feel threatened or if they get victimized on the street. So they needed to be self-sufficient. Now, as a team, we decided to tackle these 4 themes, and we came up with a 2-component solution. Our solution has a software component, which we call WalkSafe. This allows the user to find the safest route to their destinations. For instance, it tells you if there are highlighted reported incidents, what are the safe streets, if there are pockets of the city which are unsafe to begin with, depending on what the police have released as information or what other users have updated on their maps. So it allows people to interact with the solution. It allows them to update and highlight the areas that are potentially unsafe, and it allows other users to plan their routes accordingly. The second component of a solution is a hardware component that allows a user to quickly, rapidly call for help independent of their phone. So you don't really have to do anything. All you have to do is keep a button pressed for 3 seconds, and it sends an SOS to your pre-configured list of recipients. It uses a GPS technology, so it's independent of your phone. It's a subscription service, so it gives us good revenues. And again, we're trying to make it not smartphone dependent, so there's no need to worry about batteries anymore. How the solution works is you download a free app, you configure it based on your emergency contacts, your father, your mother, your siblings, your partner, your boyfriend. You pair it with a jewelry, which is the hardware device. And when you are threatened, you press the button for 3 seconds. And we are trying to come up with a solution that guarantees help within the next 3 minutes. What we did is we made sure that our solution hit the 4 key themes that emerged from our interviews and from our research. The solution is really fast. You press the button for 3 seconds and it calls for assistance. You don't have to worry about your batteries anymore because the hardware device has an inbuilt battery that lasts 12 months. Your psychological safety is guaranteed because you are guaranteed to notify your network, who you should have confidence in, will send help and will come with help. And you're self-sufficient because you have the information that you need to plan your trip upfront through the mapping service. Now, can we win? The competition is numerous in this space, and it's a very lucrative field. So it stands to reason that there are a lot of competitors. But we think that we have a unique solution because of our self-sufficiency and viable network and community focus, where we can build a community of users that kind of leverage each other's information and provide value back to the community. So it's not an individual play, it's a platform play, and it's trying to make people self-sufficient. Our numbers look really good. The curve goes right up there. Our LTV to cost of customer acquisition is 3, which is great. We think we can break even at 482,000, which means that we'll be looking at an investment of about 1 million over a course of 2 years. We're looking at about 600,000 revenues. Really, breakout year for us is year 3. And I have another few slides which we can explore later around our business model and our plan and our expansion plans. All right, I'm getting to the end of my time allocation here. What's our team? So we have Natalia, who is our lead user. She is a woman who is quite active socially in the city, and we've marked her out as our CEO. She has insurance law credentials, and she's good at that. So we have a diverse team with multiple years of experience with different skill sets, and we think we're well placed to deliver on the solution. So our recommendation was to go ahead with it. What we are trying to do is to try and help every woman be safe while they walk through cities at night. So what we're trying to do is try to get you to work with us to try and make that happen. Be safe. I have a few more slides around the business model and the numbers and anything else that you might want to explore. So I'll pause there. 7 minutes in.
Great. Thank you, Anmol. Great. Thank you, Anmol. That was very enlightening. Jenny, do you have some comments?
You know, this is an interesting one. Obviously, I'm female. Wouldn't have guessed that otherwise, would you have? This is one that's very nice to me to see. I tend to be someone who goes and does things alone. I don't necessarily need someone else to be around with me. And I've lived many years in New York City, and it is an issue. Sure, you can catch a taxi home in the middle of the night in New York City. You can't catch one everywhere, but you can't always find one to take home. So I commend you on a very interesting project. I'm very intrigued by the goal of 3 minutes to help. I think you're going to have a lot of research to do. I think it's a good goal. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be striving for that, but I think you've got a lot of research to do with police, with people that have lived through issues, et cetera, on how to really make that work. It'll be interesting. It would be interesting to see what happens if you decided to take this forward. So great job.
It's a really good question, Jenny. And we have a few options that we think are viable options to try and deliver that help quite quickly. So if you look at this step 2, it essentially allows you to choose your emergency contacts. It'll also maybe let me quickly switch to our business model, right? So our business model is a partner play. So when you choose your emergency contacts, you can also choose to partner with, say, security services or subscribe to a service that will deliver a 3-minute response time to you. Okay. Now, in a lot of cities have business premises that get monitored and get patrolled by private security agencies, either by a patrol car or by a foot patrolman. This is something that businesses care about, and they try to protect their premises using the service. What we're trying to do is to encourage businesses to extend that to anyone who has a need for help in that vicinity. So we are trying to get businesses, security agencies, police networks, all of them to partner in this ecosystem so that they can deliver that service to women who are in need. It just doesn't have to be your emergency contacts themselves. Okay.
So would they wind up getting something from you for this? For example, would this help them pay for their own security at night, that they're a part of this system? Okay, interesting.
That's right. So if you look at this, it shows you that the user or partner pays a subscription fee to come onto the platform. We take 100% of the subscription fees. And every transaction thereof, say for instance, you call for help and a patrol car comes in and picks you up and delivers you to safety, there will be a transaction amount for that. We haven't really figured out the math around what that cost should be. It needs to be affordable, obviously. It can't be as expensive as, say, Uber Elite or something. And we take a percentage of that transaction fee that gets reinvested back into making those streets safe again.
Mhm.
So that's our business model on a page. 100% subscription fee, 10% of the commission on each transaction. And we are committed to reinvesting 10% of our profits back into community.
Very interesting. Good job.
Great.
Talk to you.
No, thank you, Anmol. So first of all, I thought your slides were gorgeous. Like I felt like this was a presentation by a professional design firm. So great job on that.
Credit goes to Javier and the rest of my team.
Yeah.
We had some interesting conversations around design and aesthetics, which was quite robust, but I think the final product
So yeah, the final product was definitely reflects a lot of thought and effort. Also a great job with your interviews and the insight that you gathered and the way you presented it. My two main points. One is that I think it's unfortunate that the women in your team could not be here to present, and we couldn't hear their perspective because it just seems wrong to not have a woman presenting this. And secondly, I guess I can't speak much in this direction because I don't have a solution either, but even this feels like a stopgap solution to a greater systemic problem. And I know this is not something that maybe that can be solved in a 3-week course or 9-week course, but I guess I'm glad that I would appreciate if that was also something that you would think about, and I guess you are doing that through your community projects. So that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
If you give me a minute, I can pull up, well, it's on my other laptop. We have a few ideas on how we can really, the way to improve safety for women is to get more diverse people to start using the streets at night, to attract better quality people into the city. That seems to be the best way to promote safety outside solving the men have endemic issues, which is too big a problem for us to solve. But yeah, we were thinking about how to invest in community projects that improve better, more boutique stores, for instance. So one of the research elements that we saw is that macho sounding names or businesses tend to attract the wrong kind of crowd. For instance, Hungry Jack's, Burger King, all of those end up being hotspots of bad activity. Whereas if you had a boutique store which sells flowers, for instance, that's not usually a store that attracts the bad kind of crowd. So we were thinking about art installations or family-friendly pop-up theater, for instance, to attract the right kind of crowd into the cities, so people feel more safer while they walk at night.
That is fascinating, Anmol. That is really cool. I remember reading something about a transformation of a street in Bangalore, where it used to be just a dilapidated corner with trash everywhere. And then some people took over and cleaned it, painted it, and put chairs out, and now it's a relaxation place.
Community took ownership of it.
No, thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you. Sorry?
Didn't catch Jenny's last comment.
I said that the community took it over and owned it.
Yeah.
They took control.
Yeah, so great. Thank you, Anmol, and thank you for your presentation and showing that this is also something that can be tackled in this course.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny.
Great. So program support is Neeraj ready?
Yeah. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Neeraj, we can hear you. And I see that you've been having some trouble with the system. I'm sorry about that. I know program support is working very hard to solve this. But I think we can manage with what we have right now. And let's see. Are you ready?
Yeah. So I'm not seeing the option to share my screen though.
Sometimes there'll be an icon that says more with 3 dots. And if you click on that, you'll get more options than what are immediately in front of you.
I'm trying to figure that out. See, somehow, maybe.
That's okay. That's okay. Take your time.
You know what, Varun, can you help us in the background and pull up the slides for him?
Sure. Neeraj, shall I go ahead and share your slides on the screen?
Yeah, sure. Because if I don't see that option, it is fine that you share
Right.
and proceed ahead.
Sure,
Okay.
no problem. Give me one moment. Is that all right? Can everyone see Neeraj's slides?
No, not
These
really.
are not ours. These are previous teams one, Varun.
No,
Yeah,
that
that was.
no, that was yours. They were
Neeraj,
just very blurry.
give me 1 minute. Yes, is it clear now?
No, they're extremely blurry.
So Varun, I think you received a presentation, your PPT.
Yes.
Okay, now it's fine. It's clear now.
All right,
Now it's
perfect.
good.
Neeraj, you can let me know when to move on to the next slide, and I will do
Sure. So, hi everyone. Myself Neeraj Verma from India, and I have along with me Sean from Hong Kong, and Bill and Rena, who are also part of our team from Thailand, and Nishan from India. So we were a team of 5 people, and we'll be presenting something about repackaging, which you already have seen with one of the team number 10. I believe they presented something about it. So we would be also going around it. You can move on to the next slide, please. Any questions? Okay. So this is the opportunity which we see. This opportunity is everywhere. No, the previous slide, yes, the opportunity. So when we order from the e-commerce, be it Amazon or Flipkart in India or any other company, so Lazada in Thailand, we see that the packaging is very bulky. It is big in size as compared to the material, and moreover, there are other concerns. They can be recycled. It is not environment friendly. So we wanted to, we saw an opportunity there that if there is a method to reduce the waste generated from those components like bubble wrap and those oversized box, so that is where the opportunity is. Can we rethink about any repackaging opportunity? Can we move on next? Yep. Is it real? Yes, for sure this problem is there throughout the globe, particularly in Asia as well. Though the parcel or the package, it provides enough protection and privacy, the size is quite big. It is stuffed with bubbles and it is costly, it creates more trash. So everything drills down it creates more material which cannot be recycled at times, and there are different factors which you will see. What are the different factors? Sometimes the material can be recycled, but we as a customers who are receiving the packaging do not know how to do it. So there are ample opportunities there as well. So we have 3 customers. One is the e-marketplace who are the sellers. We have logistics service providers who handles the delivery, and of course us who receive the packages. Everyone would be benefiting from it. The e-marketplace, smaller volume, less cost, less transportation cost for logistics, and user will also, or end consumer will also benefit, less waste to handle, recyclable, no unauthorized opening. Okay, that is the kind of privacy you see. Any person, if it tampers with a package, you should know, okay, it has been tampered. So that is about the consumer part. We have mentioned some of the price also. Carton box cost increase $0.2 per box, and logistics cost saving up to $0.5 We can move on. Are there any questions on this slide? Yeah, I think we can move on, and the question and answers are answered in the end.
Go on,
Can it
Neeraj.
win?
Go on, Neeraj.
Great.
We'll have time for questions after you finish.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot that. Pardon me for
No,
that.
don't worry.
But
Doing great.
so win definitely. We have given a phrase: optimal, eco-friendly packaging for e-commerce. Now, the concept is to design a reusable package with minimal damage to the packaging material while unwrapping, so that it can be reused. And how we will show in the next slide, we have a sketch and a prototype also. We are using some net and bag which can wrap around the goods tightly in with the net, and there can be buffer which can be provided so that the material doesn't get in touch with the box side. Move on to the next, please. Oh, here we have the sketch. And I would like to call out my teammates, Bill, who have taken pain on drawing this. You can see the drawings are also pretty good. So paper-based tape, which is one of the good things. And then we have, this is a sketch, how to pull it up. In top view, you can put the goods. You can move on. We will see in the next slide, there is some real prototype which you can see. So without goods and with goods, there are pieces attached to, so there's a, in the center you have a place where you can put something. There are some visible things which you can ask. Feel free to ask. I see there can be comments on this prototype, but I'll not deal with that as of now. Feel free to ask in the Q&A. So here you see we have put something, the goods in a package in between, and then it is not in contact with the boxes also. Move on to the next slide. Test with shaking to identify whether the goods contact the side of the box or not. Did it? It doesn't have a contact with the side. Move on to the next. So the proposed packaging concept is reusable, maintain integrity of the content, and will reduce the waste. So it is environment friendly to waste, resource depletion, which we all learned in one of the modules, in the last module, and minimize consumption of energy. Because no need to recreate the new things, they consume more energy. We can reuse and then less consumption of energy as well as the resources. What it is better than the competitors, no extra protection components required, save cost and green environment. These are something, I mean, which we didn't actually see any competitor who is doing packaging in this way. So in fact, there are a lot of people who are doing packaging, but this is a unique kind of packaging which we haven't come across as of now. So that is the thing. Moreover, there is no extra protection components. Bubble wrapping is not required for this, or stuffing the papers inside or something like that, or corrugated sheets are not required to be stuffed inside the box. Yeah, move on to the next slide, please. So it addresses some of the latent needs which we feel are latent. It's our perspective. So one is demonstrating the privacy maintained throughout the logistic process. It's very unique. We have a paper tray. We have a unique kind of sealing mechanism which we wanted. The seal of the bag is proposed to be paper-based and has a rope or string in the center along with the seal to be able to pull and cut the seal in half. So that's one of the unique things also. If it is broken, it can indicate that package is tempered, and since it's a paper-based, you cannot again join the paper in the same way as it was earlier. One more thing is, you see a lot of times when you unwrap a package, it takes some time. You need sometimes scissors also. It is not very easy to unwrap the packages. Here again we see it is a very unique kind of thing. You do not need anything to unwrap it, as the net or bag contains goods can be opened by loosening the string. So those are the factors which we think is unique for this kind of packaging stuff. Lastly, so how much better life is for your customers. Definitely environment lovers will like the proposal and agree. And for packaging vendors, it will reduce the cost. Can we move on? Please move on. Okay, is it worth? Yes. Issues pertaining to sustainability, environment ethics, all these modern day consumers, they are definitely impacted with this. Now we are thinking redesign. The global packaging market is approximately 600 billion. It was in 2015, and it is predicted to be $770 billion by 2020. So definitely it is worth pursuing such an idea. We are looking at providing better service and targeting e-commerce. So we think we have a chance to stand out. So we have given you something about compounded annual growth rate of 5.7% of the packaging market. Can we move on? Approach, you can see again, reduce the logistic cost, reduce the volume. We intend to reduce the volume by 5 to 10% and yield 10% logistics cost saving. Environmental impact would be definitely there. One more thing you can see is we have designed a unique way, place a QR code on the package, which you scan and you can see which is the nearest place to discard. That is again one more good thing. We can have categorization mentioned to indicate on how to recycle. The recycle machine will have provision to read a code from the package. This is again something environment friendly. Can you move on, please? My recommendation is it's a great opportunity to be pursued as there's a big market that invention can be used. Now we kindly note we have used invention and not innovation. So you can see that unique concept of packaging, we thought nobody has done it, and that is the reason we have used the term invention instead of innovation or creativity over here. So the needs of customers are there. We can satisfy them with our invention. And our goal is focused on reducing waste. We can make the green environment to be more practical and make the world better. So we have some critical questions.
Okay.
How the invention can substitute the conventional package that is available. The next steps are detailed design of the innovation to be used as the actual product and test with the customer to get feedback. Not only the customers who are receiving, it is also the logistics team and the e-market vendors, because they are also our customers. Yep.
Great.
That's all. I think we don't. Can you move on? As a recommendation, there's a last slide.
I think that's the last slide, though.
Hi, Neeraj. Yes, this is the last slide.
Great. Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you. That was an exhaustive look at your slides. Jenny, do you have some comments on their presentation?
You know, this is something that I think all of us are coming to think more and more about today. Packaging is just, it's a real serious issue. I think some of us wish that 3D printing might have moved faster so that it was completely made obsolete, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. I think my first question for you is, obviously a lot of this is reusable. So how does it get moved next after it reaches you? Is it collected? Is it dropped off? Is it shipped somewhere? What is the process to keep it in the loop so that it gets reused one more time? And also, have you thought at all about how it's cleaned? Because there will be some things that'll be shipped in this that it is critical that it isn't in some way, well, almost anything, there's an issue with contamination, especially when you don't know where it's been before. So congratulations on a great presentation. Thank you very much. Those are the main areas that I'm curious about next.
Great. Thank you, Jenny.
Should I answer the first question, Shakti, or we
just
have some?
Neeraj, I think if it would be better if we could just talk about this. So I'll just make my comments, and because I'm sorry we had such problems today, so we're nearing the end of our presentation, and we would also like to talk about logistics. So Neeraj, if you could make one quick comment and address some of the major parts. So go ahead. Yeah, please answer.
So I would like to thank Jenny and for your observations, and definitely there are thoughts about how to proceed ahead about the recycling part also. As you mentioned, there should be a code, a person can scan, he will be knowing where the nearest location where he can deposit it. So those are the things which are still in nascent stages. Definitely, as this materializes these ideas, it will be more tested in the market, and let us see how it proceeds, because sometimes it is not easy to send a person to collect and from all the places. But yes, there is one way a person who delivers it, next time he can collect the previous box. That is one way of having an optimized collection. Instead of people getting out of their homes and then depositing in a place, next time they order it, the person collects the previous package. So that is one way. Thanks. We will look forward to other aspects also, as pointed out.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you for your presentation. Also, I can't help but notice that I see some synergy between two teams that have presented today. So in case you guys should catch up and talk if you can work together. Great. So we are about 15 minutes over our target time of an hour, but thankfully we had an hour and a half originally. So I'll quickly go over the logistics after this, because I know this is important to a lot of you. And so in about 2 weeks, you should get your overall grade compilation. I would highly recommend going to your assignments and check whether it's been marked complete, or well, it's more important to see if it's been marked incomplete, because in that case you might have to add some more things. That doesn't happen often, but in case that is the case, you might want to look at that soon. And in about 4 weeks, you should get your certificates by email, and that's usually the timeline. If you have any questions during this part, please feel free to contact program support or me or Sal, and we are happy to help. And you will have access to all of this material for a year from the beginning of this course. So feel free to go back and review this as you feel necessary. And I think that's it for logistics. If you guys have any questions, we would be happy to address them right now. And if not, I would just like to say thanks to all our presenters today for doing a great job. I've learned a lot today, and I hope it's the same for all of you. Jenny, do you want to add something before we wrap up?
I wanted to say it was a pleasure to join you all, and do know that it is always a challenge to Shakti and Sal, to anyone else in their position, to choose which of you to have present for something like this. So I'm sure there are many other presentations that are pretty doggone wonderful out there. Those presentations, I think you mentioned it previously, Shakti, the other slideshows will be available on Canvas in a couple of weeks. It won't be immediately, so you can go through and see everyone else's presentations too. But Shakti, fantastic job. It was wonderful to work with you again. And it was a great pleasure to spend an hour and a half with all of the participants from Design Thinking.
Yeah.
So thank you all.
Well, thank you, Jenny, and it was a pleasure having you here. And once again, I would like to apologize for all the technical difficulties that we had today. But thank you to all the participants who endured this and helped us pull off a successful final presentation. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, reach out to program support, and we are happy to help you. And it was great to have you all here today. Great. Thank you. Stop share.
Bye all. Thanks, Shakti. Thanks, Varun.